So currently, the new federal state of China, our main mission is to take down the CCP because we are completely against dictatorship. We want the Chinese people to have the freedom of choice. Now, because CCP has been infiltrated in the different worldly governments, do you think the CCP has any influence currently in the European Parliament?
Well, I would be surprised if they hadn't any influence in the EU Parliament. We just found out that Qatar and Morocco were able to buy off elected representatives of the EU Parliament. One of them was even the vice president of EU Parliament. So I don't see any reason why China should not be doing the same thing. And I'm pretty sure they are, even though I do not have any concrete, evidence. I couldn't, come up with any names that might have fallen prey to the lobby organization or this lobbying. But like I said, I would be very surprised if they didn't.
Now, the CCP, of course, the way how they come into power is because they have instilled fear. Now, if you compare for the last 3 years, because before around the world, everybody was living very good. There's less inflation, and people don't really talk much about the CCP now. Over the past 3 years, have you been exposed to more about what the CCP has been doing around the world?
Yes, I actually have been, and it's been quite stunning to actually see that. So up until like 3 years ago, in the Western democracies, it was pretty much clear that China is not a democracy and that it is, in fact, a totalitarian regime that tramples on its own people. That was, everyone pretty much was had that understanding. That changed 3 years ago. And suddenly, all of these elected leaders in the Western democracies, they looked with awe, to the Chinese and how they handled that pandemic. They were just, kind of toning down their criticism. In fact, I didn't even hear any criticism at all. And I was kind of wondering, why would they, especially like last year when these protests flared up in China, our news was full of that. And I was like, why would they show us these pictures? And then it kind of dawned on me as like, okay, they're trying to, keep us at bay. So the people in the Western democracies would actually thank their own governments for imposing restrictions that have been unheard of in Western democracies, and kind of thank them because, well, it's not as bad as it is in China, right? So yeah, it did change. And now the sudden admiration for China. You have, I just toured Canada. You have the Prime Minister Trudeau. He openly admired the Chinese basic dictatorship. Had he said that 5 years ago? Oh man, that would have been all over the news, but now it's like nothing, it's okay. And even you also see that in the United States. If I were to go back 20, 25 years or so, anyone mentioning communism in the United States probably would have been tarred and feathered and run out of town. And now it's becoming acceptable, like a way of life that people actually should strive to achieve. But in what world would you not be able to recognize communism as a totalitarian regime? There's been more than ample evidence in the history, but now people don't see it anymore, and it's beyond me.